Welcome, dear friends, to another day in our 21-day journey with Paul and Stephen. It's all about the beautiful teachings of this book, Paul and Stephen, by Emmanuel through the psychography of Chico Xavier. And why 21 days? Because of the 20 chapters plus the preface, and also because the Spirit Mentors of Kardec Radio and also the Spirit Mentors of the Spiritist out of Virginia asked us to share this journey with you every day for 21 days so we can gather new instructions, guidelines for our lives. It's a very therapeutic journey, especially now after the 2016 United States elections. Hello, Felipe. It's good to be with you again. And hi, Valeria. So, friends, we stopped at a very important moment in which Saul, after being turned down by his father, he understood that life was changing him. The pathway was supposed to be different. Thank you for the love, friends. Thank you, Valeria. So he understood after talking to Abigail. Remember, Abigail came to visit him in spirit. Abigail and Stephen. And Abigail replied to all his questions by saying, if you want to understand the designs of Jesus, love. So if we want to understand the designs of Jesus, let us love. We need to open our hearts. And then, if we want to fulfill them, work, inevitably. And if we, by any chance, stumble in frustrations, then hope, nonetheless. And whenever we encounter human indifference, forgiveness. Friends, at the current times, forgiveness is the call. Forgiveness is the call. Hello, Adilson. In a short time, he understood he was going to start a new life. With the skills learned from childhood, he became a weaver, a humble weaver. The news weren't pleasant to his father, but for 3 years, the solitary weaver in the vicinity of the Taurus Mountains exemplified humility and labor, waiting devotedly for Jesus to call him to bear witness. What a lesson. Remember, he got to know of it all in Damascus. He spent 3 years in the desert. Now 3 years working, 6. And then he's going to be called. What is this lesson for us? The lesson that we need to do what we need to do now, and whenever we're ready, the work shows itself up for us. Remember André Luiz in the book No Solar? Same lesson. Once he realized life was different, was changed, he wanted to work right away as a physician in the spiritual realm. And they said, not yet. With humble work, he understood the ideas of the spiritual life, the new dynamics, the law of life. And then soon after, he began a new journey. When he was given the citizenship of No Solar, he was called to work. What does this tell us? This tells us, as he says, I think there's a static here in my hair. It's funny. It's very dry. The air is dry here. So we learn with André Luiz, as he says, when the worker is ready, service appears, shows up to us. So let's not be anxious. Hi, Leticia. Let's not be anxious and just do the best we can wherever we are. And everything else is just going to unfold. We don't need to have plans in that regard. We just fulfill it. We plan to serve every day. Well, and then we begin a new chapter. Yoo-hoo! beautiful chapter. Long chapter. Thank you, my friend. You know, beautiful chapter. We're hopeful with Saul because he is finally getting to his first apostolic endeavor. That's how it begins. They say now he was a simple workman. Paul of Tarsus displayed a remarkable change in his features. His aesthetic appearance had grown more pronounced. His eyes, however, giving evidence of a thoughtful and resolute man, also revealed a profound and indefinable peace. It's very important to observe these descriptions that Emmanuel gives to us. When he gives us these descriptions about the emotional body language we're emitting, and this is the first question of the day for us. Do we have consciousness regarding the emotional language we're emitting through our bodies? What do we think we're emitting? What do we feel we're emitting? We need to ask ourselves. That's very, very important that we're conscious about it. We are no longer in the animal kingdom where we display emotions without awareness. For example, a dog displays anger because anger is in the animal kingdom. It's a physiological response to defense. But we need to ask, do I have awareness of what I am emitting? What if you want to emit trust? How do we do it? Is it possible to emit it? Yes, it is. First step, awareness. So that's why we need to do mirror work, not for vanity, but for self-awareness. Look at ourselves in the mirror, and we know we're at a beautiful time in which we have these cameras in the cell phones. It's an opportunity for us to know ourselves more. Some people think, oh, it's so terrible. Now we have this access, constant access to seeing ourselves, taking selfies, etc. But think on the positive token. We often think that technology is going to destroy us. What if technology is helping us know more of ourselves? It's great. It's fantastic. Because now I can use my camera also to study myself. How about if you make, we work on this professionally at the School of Emotion. We teach our clients, our patients, our students how to learn about their emotions. And one of the ways we do it is recommending that they make a photo book of emotions. You can do it yourself alone, like I'm doing right now. I can turn on the camera and think about something sad. Take a picture or have somebody do it for you, okay? Think about joy. Take a picture. Think about something that brings you confidence. Take a picture. If you want, there is a dictionary of 150 emotions. Read each and every one of them and take the pictures or ask somebody to take them. Print them out or put them in display for us. Study each and every emotion in you. And think, how sharp am I when I am displaying XYZ emotions? What if I want to fine-tune it? If I want to be more clear, like specific about it, can I sculpt it? Yes, I can. So Saul of Tarsus here is showing to us that as we vibrate our virtues, they start shaping our emotional body language. You know, it's that André Louis saying, virtues can actually be felt through the emissions of the language through our body. It's very interesting. That's the first exercise, the quiz of the day. How much are we aware of the emotional language we are emitting? We are emitting. Okay? Through facial expression, through gestures, through posture, through the tone of voice, through the way we look. So let us observe. Realizing that his situation did not allow him to envision far-ranging work plans, he was happy to do what he could. That's how we are. Once we realize we're here to serve, we just go with the flow. He delighted in displaying his change of behavior to old fellows. Let us observe something quite interesting. His countrymen admired his humble attitude, which was now his main trait. It's so interesting. Some people don't believe it's possible to change that much in one lifetime. Here is the proof. We can change a whole lot if and only if we want to change. It's up to us. Yes, we can. It's up to us. And Abigail's advice of love, work, hope, and forgiveness, love, work, hope, and forgiveness, love, work, hope, and forgiveness, can be almost like a rhyme, was a permanent message for his soul. He got up every morning aiming to love everything and everyone. He worked as hard as he could to continue on the straight and narrow. If troubling wishes or worries urged him to intensify his apostolic activities before the appropriate time, he knew to hope in the future. If someone felt sorry for him, if others called him a madman, a deserter, or a dreamer, he tried to forget their incomprehension with sincere forgiveness, remembering the many times he himself had offended others out of ignorance. He was without friends or loved ones, quietly enduring the disenchantment of loneliness. And if he did not enjoy the company of loving companions, neither did he have to bear the anguish of unfaithful friendships. That's an important take. Each day presented itself to him as a valuable partner full of opportunity, and within this frame of mind, he weaved intricate carpets and tents, exercising the patience that would be crucial for the other tasks still awaiting him at the crossroads of life. Nighttime was a blessing for his spirit. Thus he was leading an existence without any particulars of greater importance when one day he was surprised by an unexpected visit from Barnabas. Friends, what a call! He kept the message of Abigail in his heart and in his mind. How often every day we're giving messages, all these spiritist messages, and we often reset. Oh, I'm so sad. Yesterday I was happy and hopeful. Now I'm not. Once we find it, boom, we're calibrated. We don't drop the ball of our joys. Let's not drop the ball of joy because we know already. We are never lost. We will never be lost again. We discarnate today, we know the north. Life goes on. Jesus is with us. We have loving friends everywhere in both realms of life, faithful ones. The question is, are we loyal friends? Are we faithful friends? Are we reliable friends? Can people rely upon us? Or are we dropping the ball? We can't. We need to be consistent. This is a call, just like the sun. When we see the sun every day, it's a message of consistent love. We look at the sun, and it's God telling us, I love you unconditionally. I am here every day for you. I'm not saying that God is the sun, but it's a message. In nature, Kardec says, we have messages proving that God exists and telling us the reliability of the sun, the consistency of the sun. is a lesson for us. Let's be consistent. Let's be reliable. Let's be there for others and for one another. Always, always. No matter if we're incarnated or discarnated, we're there. So Barnabas came along, you see, 3 years working, being humble, trusting God, feeling this unity, right? I love that too. Me too. Right, Adilson? What a message. What a message that life presents to us. Barnabas came along and said, you know what? Lesson for us. Educated workers are scarce. So we need you. We need you. We need to go places where we can spread the good news. And he was like, yoo-hoo, let's go. Oh, yes. And the ready and willing Saul of Tarsus was soon settled in Antioch. Antioch, I was searching for it. Antioch is today located in Turkey. And it's also named Syrian Antioch because there is another one. And at the time, it was considered a part of the Roman Empire. And nowadays, it's located in Turkey. Just so we know where it is, we can visualize it when we hear about this country. Let's send love and gratitude to these blessed locations where our dear Saul of Tarsus, Paul of Tarsus, began his first apostolic journey with his friend Barnabas. Saul learned how to wait. He preferred the lowliest tasks in the community. Loved to serve. Loved going to the Spiritist Center and giving the blessed water. And saying hi to everybody. And giving a hug. And cleaning and organizing. I personally love cleaning, so it's probably an honor for me to clean. So I don't consider it lowliest at all. But it's with love that he's teaching us we need to do everything. Well, they go there and the little church is not wealthy, but things are about to change and we're going to learn why. He would go there, meet with everybody and teach, but you know, he found out he was shy. Can you believe it? He changed so much that he felt shy before everybody, so he preferred not to speak and allow Barnabas and Menahem to be the main preachers of the gospel. He was there helping, and as a weaver, he would bring the income to the church. Quite interesting, right? Often we have so much resistance giving of our resources to our spiritist centers or churches or temples or to whomever. But you know, whose money is this? It's God's. We better share. It's not even ours. Leon Denis in the book After Death talks to us about it, about the fact temporarily we're given this money. It's not ours. Hey, did you know that there is a new book that was recently published by the United Spiritist Federation titled Money by Emmanuel? Fantastic book. Go to the website spiritist.us, get to know more information. It's a pocket book that talks about the Spiritist view on money. Fantastic. We should actually put a whole seminar only on this so we know how to deal with money in a more godly way, without resistance or without temptations, without conflicts. Money is energy. How do we deal with it? Well, everyone in this church, so let us learn, because of all churches that Saul helped found, the Church of Antioch became very unique. We need to learn why. Everyone loved their daytime obligations. Oh my God, should we say it's another quiz? Yes, it is. Second quiz of the day. Do we love our daily obligations? Love meaning love our daily obligations, meaning professional work, daily activities and chores at home, family, and everything else. Do we? Even paying the bills? Paying the bills with love. Why not? He said, everyone loved their daytime obligations, waiting for the restfulness of nighttime in the church meetings as if it were a blessing from God. You know, this is for the Spiritists now. Reflection for us. We want Spiritist centers to be enjoying time. But then we ask, do we await with excitation, like very enthusiastic feelings, the time we're coming to the Spiritist Center? If not, why? Cannot blame on the Spiritist Center because it comes from us. Enthusiasm is something from us. Within, what are we missing? If we don't love our daily obligations, and if we don't await enthusiastically for the time to come when we're going to gather together at the Spiritist Center, who's at fault? The neighbor, the president of the center, somebody else? We. Calibration. With Jesus, we need to feel Jesus. If we don't love our daily obligations, and if we have a hard time being enthusiastic about going to the center and meeting everyone, then what we need to do? Calibrate our hearts by feeling Jesus. How do we feel? I asked Mentor Joseph the other day, Mentor Joseph, when Jesus talked about feeling the scriptures to Nicodemus, how do we do it in practical terms? And he said, well, we need to read a phrase or a sentence, stop, breathe in and out consciously, and ask a personal question to us. Ask a personal question. Like we're doing right now, right? We're asking a personal question. What do I need to do to love more my daily obligations? What do I need to do? Be grateful? That's a beginning. Because there are many people around the world who don't have our resources. Going to a Spiritist center, be grateful, because you know what? Everywhere I've been in the United States, we had to found a Spiritist center because there was none. Believe it or not, there was none. So we are very grateful that we have one, and we rejoice each and every day with it because it's a true blessing. Yeah, you love it, Wanda? I know, the Mount Vernon Center. I love going there too. The Mount Vernon Center, I tell you, is one of the centers, like the Inner Enlightenment and many others, where it feels like home. You're right, Edvanda. I agree with you. And it feels like home, right? It's like the Antioch Church. A lot of good friends. And you know what? Emmanuel describes to us the recipe for a loving community. Mutual trust. Mutual trust. Devoted friends, agreeable understanding. Comprise sacred nourishment for the soul. So, mutual trust, sacred nourishment, mutual trust, devoted friends, agreeable understanding. These are the elements. I know presidents of Spiritist centers, when they get in trouble, they go find spiritual treatment elsewhere because they don't trust their team. No mutual trust. If I am sick, I trust the people in the center, and I ask them, can you please help me because I am in need? Whether I'm the president of the center, one of the directors, one of the participants, whomever, I trust. And I devote myself to the people in the community. Recipes for us. Great. Did you love it? Me too. Loved it. But you know, one day they are there in this beautiful church of Antioch, people coming from all ends of life, all walks of life, not only Jewish, but also the ones who were the Gentiles, one of them being Luke. Luke was a physician. I love it too, Adilson. He walked in, he learned about it all, and talking to Saul, Luke understood about it all, and he was the one who coined the term Christian. Okay? He came and said, well, you know, from what I've seen, this will transform the whole world. However, I feel that the need for us to imprint the best expression of unity on its endeavors. I'm referring to the label that identifies us within the community. That is, I do not see in the word way a designation that rightly expresses what we're doing. Christ's disciples have been called travelers, pilgrims, and wayfarers. But there are travelers and roads of every sort. Evil, too, has its pathways. Wouldn't it be better to call one another Christians? This label will remind us of the Master's presence. It will give us strength in His name, and it will characterize perfectly our activities in accordance with His teachings. Now we understand. Luke's suggestion was approved. From there on, this new label is spread out to date. Unfortunately, in some countries, like in the United States, if you say you're Christian, it means much more than following Jesus' teaching. It means that you believe in the Virgin Mary and the dogmas of the church, and that's not necessarily what we do. In Spiritism, when we mean Christian, we mean following the teachings. No dogmas, no any other thing but the teachings. Straightforward the teachings, like we read in the Gospel according to Spiritism. But it's good to know how he came along in the Church of Antioch. Thank you, Raquel. Good to see you, super mom, inspiring all of us with the 3 kids. Friends, now we have that, they've got a letter, somebody coming and telling them the Church of Jerusalem was in trouble. And the Church of Antioch became wealthy, very progressive, opening doors to everyone. But somebody came along and said, our church in Jerusalem is in trouble, needs a lot of help. James, the brother of John, was stoned to death, just like Stephen. The church was shaken up. The Pharisees are persecuting big time the Church of Jerusalem. They are asking for Barnabas' help. So the Church of Antioch collects donations, and Barnabas and Saul volunteer to go to Jerusalem and help out. Beautiful collaboration between churches. Helping Spiritist centers one to the other, so beautiful. It's so beautiful to do these exchanges. Recently, something that Mentor Joseph was recommending was having our practitioners, our Spiritist workers at SSVA, to do internships in certain services that are more pronounced in other Spiritist centers. And I found it to be a great idea. Recently, we did an experiential activity with the fraternal counseling after the Spiritist talks. Adriano Barbo from the Mount Vernon Center in the SSVA Center and vice versa. And it was quite interesting, the results. So these collaborations, very spontaneous, very natural, center to center, because we're all united after all. And we have a beautiful organization, the United States Spiritist Federation, who is supporting all of us as members as well. So I think we're going to the right direction. That's the feeling, right? We're going to the right direction, all of us. So in 2 days, they traveled, and they were there, and they are shocked. Lots of things are happening. And they're surprised. They cannot stay at the Church of Jerusalem because James, the son of Alphaeus, the other James, he's so into responding to the Pharisees that he's not too open, closed heart. That's what's happening to him. So they are forced to stay at Barnabas' sister, Mary Mark's house, which is a plus because they get to know of her son, John Mark, the future evangelist. He was a teenager, let's say this way. And the mom is saying, "Oh, so Barnabas, please take my son and teach him so he can go with you." And Saul has a beautiful dialogue with this teenager. And we should be open and help them out. But we need to learn also from Saul how to be very sincere with them, like Barnabas told him as an uncle, how important discipline is and the spirit of sacrifice. How many youngsters come our way, we should welcome them, but also say, we're also welcoming you, letting you know that we are exercising this selflessness, this spirit of sacrifice of the ego, okay? Sacrifice of our ego. And they go together and they actually go back to, where did they go back? To their church. And they start planning a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful trip. A trip to go to the Gentiles. As Barnabas and Saul are talking, we are very thankful to Saul because we owe to him, to this very realization, when he didn't want to keep these good news only to the smaller community of the Jewish community. He thought about people who were beyond it. Thanks to this realization, we're here today. Because if you and I do not have any, in this life I'm saying, any connection with the Jewish heritage, if they kept Jesus' teachings like James wanted to keep it only amongst the Jewish community, we would be in trouble. We would never know of it. Right? Yes, love to Saul, to Paul, to his courage, to go beyond. And we Spiritists are being called to do the same. Because we see nowadays many Spiritists willing to talk only to Spiritists and talk about Spiritism only to Spiritists. But we are supposed to go beyond. That's why Kardec Radio is here. Kardec Radio is here to talk to people who are Spiritists and non-Spiritists. Okay? Thanks to this realization of soul, we're inspired to talk to both. And as Kardec said, these are universal ideas that we need to share with everyone and talk and learn to dialogue. Did you know that Kardec talked to people who were not Spiritists? Of course, who was a Spiritist at that time, right? Nobody was. So he was the first Spiritist with Amélie Boudet? Yes, so if he was restricted, I'm only going to talk to those who believe, we wouldn't be here either. So we need to open our minds, come on, and share, and see the universality of the teachings, and not keep it only to ourselves. Hi, Rita Di Cassia, good morning, and thank you for being with us. How, Leonor? Yes, we need to do, let's listen from Paul, why he realized it. He says, I do not believe that Christianity will attain its purposes if we put our hopes solely in the Jews, who are inflexible, constricted in the pride of the law. Jesus stated that his disciples would come from the east and the west. Aha! The east, for us Spiritists, where is it? Have you read the Tao from Lao Tzu? When we read the book On the Way to the Light, Emmanuel tells us that Jesus sent his messengers before he came to the earth as an incarnated person. He sent it to all places. And they mentioned that Lao Tzu was one of Jesus' messengers. If you read the Tao, you're going to recognize the message. And I'm very thankful to Wen Dyer, who wrote a book about it. Fantastic. And also to our friend Fred Gouveia, who is sharing with us on a daily basis pieces of the Tao so we can meditate upon the Christ conscious teachings before Jesus incarnated. It's universal and it's timeless. So he says, we who can foresee the storm, and I especially, who am aware of its paroxysm for having played the role of persecutor, need to attract his disciples. What I mean, Barnabas, is that we must go to the Gentiles. We must go to the Gentiles. What is to be a Gentile? A non-Jewish. Okay? I will tell you something quite interesting and funny. I never felt what it is to be a Gentile until one day. The United States is so funny. Hi, Thais. It's so interesting to be in the United States because it's a melting pot. It's a beautiful diversity of people. One day I was at a Costco. I think it was 4 years ago, maybe. I was at a Costco store. It was, you know, holiday season, Christmas, New Year's Eve season. And I remember, you know, they offered these samples. And I love sampling. So I was there sampling. And a man stops by and looks at the lady who is offering the sample of a particular food. And he says to her, "Happy Hanukkah." And she's so joyful. And he goes his way. She turns to me and says, "You see, first time I hear that. Everybody says Merry Christmas, but I'm Jewish. First time I hear somebody saying Happy Hanukkah. You're a Gentile, so you don't know what I mean, right?" And I was like, am I a Gentile? I loved it. I was like, man, and now I feel what it is to be a Gentile in the 21st century. You think it's only something of the past? No. If you're not Jewish, then you're Gentile. I love the feeling today because I'm safe. I'm safe nowadays because of human rights. People are not going to persecute me, etc. But how often we spiritists treat people just like that, thinking that people who are not spiritists are Gentiles and they are less and inferior. Do we? We can't do this any longer. On the contrary, we need to be open and to learn where they come from, so we can find the commonalities, because the universal teachings of God are everywhere. Not only on the earth, by the way, in the universe. That's why Kardec said universal. It's universal. The laws of God do not change in Jupiter or in Saturn or in another galaxy or in another. No, they are the same. So if we learn this, it's going to serve as our constitution for the soul everywhere in this universe. Isn't that worthwhile studying it then? Yes, it is. So, only in this way will the Christian movement acquire the character of universality. So, many people ask us nowadays, Vanessa, why is Spiritism so widespread in Brazil and not yet in the United States? Simple, simple. If you speak Spiritism only in Portuguese in the United States, people will not know. Is that simple? Yes, it is. People will only learn about it if you speak Spiritism in English. And if we open our doors to talk to people who are not Spiritists. If we only talk about Spiritism in Portuguese and to Spiritists in the United States, of course, it's not going to spread itself out. Simple. Simple. People say, but I'm waiting for my children to spread it out. They won't. You know why? How do I know? There have been many generations already of Spiritists in the United States. Their children were their hopes, and they didn't do anything. Here we are, and it's up to us. If we don't do it, nobody will. If you want your child to do it, you have to do it in English yourself, or Spanish, because it's fair, these two languages in the United States. But Portuguese, I'm not so sure. So we're just gonna delay the progress. Some people learning the Spirit's book, that we can, with our free will, delay the progress, not only the individual, but the collective progress. I am a firm believer that if we keep speaking Spiritism in Portuguese in the United States, we're gonna keep delaying the progress of the earth, and we're gonna be co-responsible for it. We, in these elections in the United States, if you're shocked with the ethnocentricity that is displayed by the president-elect or whomever else who believed in him, we need to ask ourselves if we are not being ethnocentric when we keep such a treasure, which is the light of discernment, only to ourselves, and speaking it in Portuguese. And we would like to invite all the speakers who come from Brazil to put pressure and have people translate your talks no matter where you are. Because when you come here and you keep it in Portuguese, you are also being co-responsible for the delay of the progress. I'm sorry to be sincere with you, my friends, but we need the help. We need cooperation. Good works only happen with cooperation, and somebody needs to share it out loud that enough is enough. We are already 2016, and Spiritism in English is not a thing of the future, it's a thing of the present. Enough is enough. Spiritism needs to come in the language of the country wherever we are in this world. If people want to know what to do next after the elections in the United States, don't be afraid of anybody else, but of ourselves. If we are creating obstacles in the delay of the progress in this country and in the world by keeping this message only to ourselves, that's not charity. Forgive me for saying this. I'm not judging. I'm not casting stones. It's just a matter of realizing with the firmness of Paul that we need to go to the Gentiles. We need to go to the Gentiles and bring this message to everyone without fear and hesitation. Enough of keeping it to ourselves alone. When Jesus said, put the candle on the table, the lamp on the table, that's what he means in the language of the country. And Paul said so. Thank you, Valeria. Friends, the firmness that Jesus taught us. Let us be firm. Let us be courageous. Remember, courage, hope, and joy. Always, always. So, thank you very much. He said that we need to do what we need to do. And some people ask us, but Vanessa, if we do it in another language, we're going to miss the members. Who's going to pay the bills of the center? Well, next in this very same page, we have here the message from Paul. He says, well, there will be many protests, and enormous struggles connected with this approach. You see, he's telling you what's going to happen. We know it. However, I see no other recourse. It would not be right to neglect the great work of Jerusalem Church involving the poor and the needy, and I even believe that the pious assistance that its work entails has many times been the reason that it's still operating. There are, however, other arenas of activity, other fundamental perspectives to think so. Currently, we're unable to care for the sick and offer beds of repose to unfortunates, but there will always be sick and tired bodies on the earth. In the Christian endeavor, such efforts cannot be forgotten, but the illumination of the Spirit must take precedence. Friends, if you are afraid of shifting the language of the Spiritist Center to English because you're going to miss the income of the center, Paul is telling us, don't be afraid. You know why? because the illumination of the Spirit is more important than the material charity. Let's grow smaller then, but be coherent and not delay the march of progress of Jesus on the earth, because we're keeping this message only to a small group of people, and both incarnates and discarnates, because discarnate spirits can only understand the language they spoke in the last incarnation, unless they are very evolved. The less evolved spirits only understand the language they spoke. So if you want to keep it to a few people, keep doing it in Portuguese. If you want to keep it to the larger masses, including the discarnates who are the majority of the earth, then do it in the language of the country. In the United States, it's English or Spanish, mostly English, but also Spanish. But Portuguese, we don't think so. So, thanks to Sol, we have that inspiration. And they have a plan. Do you know they have a plan? Yes. For good works, we learn we have a plan. And Sol says, our plan would be developed by organizing selfless missions, with no other purpose than to fully serve the spreading of the good news of Christ. Selfless missions, that's our direction for us. It's not about us, it's not for us, it's not to us. It's through us. That's selflessness. We need us, but through us we need to exercise becoming the vessel. Hi, Norma. Good to have you here. So, Saul and Barnabas are together, and he says, "You can count on me," said Saul resolutely. "The matter will require the cooperation of courageous brothers, and we need courage. The Church of Christ cannot be victorious if everyone is selfish, including when we are selfish and keep ourselves in the comfort zone of speaking our own language in countries where this language is to no use." And he says he's working not to be a burden to the church. We don't want to be a burden to our communities either. They travel. They start traveling, and it's not easy, but they are enthusiastic. John Mark is with them, and then Emmanuel starts describing the mission that went through numerous localities and spreading feelings of sympathy, sharing the news. One day they come to the city of Paphos. Hi, Felipe. So they come to the city of Paphos, and a messenger comes from the proconsul Sergius Paulus. Remember Sergius Paulus? The one who freed Stephen. Coincidence or not, he wants to see Barnabas and Saul. What's going to happen? Beautiful lessons for us. If we want to talk about healing, we are talking about this therapeutic journey of 21 days with Paul and Stephen. And right now, pages 408 onwards, we learn beautiful lessons about health and healing for immortality. Sergius Paulus says that he needs help. He says, "I've been taking care of my ruined health for more than a year now, and I am almost worthless for public life in this condition." And he points out to a man named Bar-Jesus. This man is like psychic. He's a person who has mediumistic abilities. He's called like a magician, but we know it's not a magician. And he says, I called him, but it hasn't helped as much. So Saul turns to him and says, "Noble proconsul, we do in fact have with us the power of a great doctor." What is he going to reveal? We're able to heal if the sick are willing to understand and follow him. So the proconsul asks, but who is he, this doctor? He is Jesus Christ, Christ Jesus. His medicine is sacred. The weaver continued emphatically. And it is meant to treat the cause of all ills. As we know, everybody on this earth will have to die. So, due to the power of unavoidable natural laws, we will never enjoy complete physical health while in this world. Our body suffers the action of all the environmental influences. Heat makes us uncomfortable, right? Cold makes us shiver. Food transforms us. It's so beautiful the way he describes it, and it's funny too. And the acts of life determine changes in our habits. But the Savior teaches us to seek a more real and precious health, that of the Spirit. Enjoying the health of the Spirit means that we have changed the cause of our life's worries, and will therefore be able to enjoy the relatively good physical health the world can offer us in its transitory expressions. Saul, 2,000 years ago, is teaching us, through his understanding of Jesus' message, a new way of seeing our physical health. First of all, he's reminding us we're all going to die. So if you go to the doctor today and the doctor say, you only have 3 months, he said, okay. I thought I had like 100 or 1,000, but why should we expect to have that much if we know that this life is going to end sometime, sooner or later? We don't know when. So big deal? It's not a big deal. We know. So that's why Joana de Angelis therapeutically, through Divaldo Franco, recommends to us, meditate on death every day. Your death and the death of loved ones. So you're not going to be taken by surprise. Sometimes I look at my loved ones when they're sleeping, and I see, one day I may see and look at them just like this, but they're not going to wake up in this body anymore. That's not morbid, but I then analyze my feelings. What will I feel? What if it's now? How will I feel? It's not easy. But then I breathe in and out and I connect with God. God, you're never gonna separate those whom you brought in our lives. I know our love is gonna go past this. And then I receive the inspiration. Learn to look at your loved ones beyond the physical body. And then I practice every day, connecting to those whom I know I already love, spirit to spirit, like Euripides Barçanufo used to teach us. We need to learn how to look at each other in the eyes, soul to soul. Forget about the physical shape and learn to connect to one another, soul to soul, soul to soul, immortal spirit to immortal spirit, and learning how to feel each other beyond the physical. Let us forget about attaching ourselves too much to the physical appearance of ourselves and one another. And when we feel ourselves as well as immortal spirits, we're going to live much more easily dealing with the fact that sooner or later we're going to discarnate. How do I feel right now, knowing that I am immortal? This is the third quiz of the day. How do I feel right now, knowing that I am an immortal spirit? As the illuminated minds say in the Spirit's book, we're like a flame. Visualize yourself as this flame of God in the universe. Let us practice every day, feeling ourselves this beautiful spark of God, radiating the divine essence in us, connected to the spiritual body, enveloped by it, right? The perispirit, and connected to the physical body. This. We're not this. Bless the body. Blessed it is, but we're not the body. But we're the flame of God, spirit, immortal, connected to the physical. Let us practice it every day. We're going to be less caught up in the challenges of the physical. We're going to learn to put mind over matter. And we're not going to be overtaken by the challenges. As Paul says to us, Saul, almost Paul, he says, due to the power of unavoidable natural laws, we'll never enjoy complete physical health. So don't think like, I was so healthy, I went to the doctor. No, we are not so healthy yet. We're learning to be healthy. We're not super healthy yet. No. So let's not create illusions. We're going to be less disappointed. Let us listen more. He says, enjoying the health of the spirit means that we have changed the cause of our life's worries and will therefore be able to enjoy the relatively good physical health the world can offer us in its transitory expressions. So we have to change the cause of our life's worries. That's the health of the spirit. So today, Saul of Tarsus is giving us another thermometer, the thermometer of the health of the spirit. How healthy in regards to the spirit are we? 0 to 10, poor or excellent? It depends. We need to measure it according to our worries in life. If our worries are in the material, we're poor in terms of physical or spiritual health. If our priorities and our concerns in life are in the spiritual life, meaning now we're spirits. Some people think that when they are reading André Luiz books, some spiritists told me, Vanessa, I don't want to be focused too much on the spiritual life because I want to live in the now. Well, André Luiz didn't write the 16 books in the series No Solar, Our Spiritual Realm, the spiritual life, to tell us about tomorrow. It's to teach us about us as spirits today. He, in those 16 books, is giving us a bifocal lenses so we can learn how to read life, material and physical and spiritual, material and spiritual, material and physical, to contextualize our lives. We're spirits living in an incarnate life. When we talk about the spiritual life, we're talking about us now. And that's the thermometer of health of the spirit that Saul of Tarsus is giving to us now. He is asking us, measure it. Where is it measuring? The health of the spirit. Poor, 0 or 10. Let's give it a number. Where are our worries in life? And then we can measure how we're doing in regards to the health of the spirit. But the proconsul asked, where can I find this doctor? Saul of Tarsus explained, his perfect goodness and his consoling action is everywhere. Even before we understand it, he surrounds us with his infinite love. Everywhere, all the time. Well, the Jewish magician is listening to that and he's like, I cannot believe my ears. Do you think I do not know about the false prophet of Nazareth? Saul, ascertained the full extent of that sarcasm, and without being intimidated, he answered, "Friend, when I used to don the Pharisaic mask, I too thought like that. But I have come to know the glorious light of the Master, the Son of the living God." Well, Sergius Paulus said, "I have no right to doubt anyone until conclusive proof has led me to do so." So then, fixing his gaze on Sergius Paulus, continued calmly, "Your talk of this Christ Jesus fills me with wonder," Sergius Paulus told Saul. "But I do not understand this Messiah. How am I to know whether his assistance has influenced me any one day, on any one day?" It was then that Saul reminded Sergius Paulus of Stephen, remember the servant who healed him in the ship? Remember? Jeziel before becoming Stephen, helping Sergius Paulus. He healed him, and he says, there, you're going to find it. The mercy of Jesus of Nazareth was there. Okay? This is not the first time you have experienced a serious illness. So he tells him of that. So he is like, really? How do you know of all of it? And he says how. So continued, who was this messenger from the Savior, Jeziel, then Stephen? One of your family, an eminent friend? One of your illustrious colleagues who witnessed your pain? No. Only a humble slave, a nameless servant from the oars of death. Jeziel watched over you day and night, and what the knowledge of the world could not do, that heart full of Christ's love could. Do you understand now? Your friend Bar-Jesus speaks of a nameless carpenter, a Messiah who preferred the condition of supreme humility. Yes, like that slave who restored your lost health, Jesus too made himself the servant of a man who led him to a better life. And let's not forget, dear friends, that Jeziel is considered by Saul a messenger of Jesus way before he was actually conscious of it. Hello, Marcelo. Thank you for being with us. So, Sergius Paulus says, you're right. You brought me the holy news of a Savior. I believe you. So the magician is upset. He's like, you're liars. You're creating lies. You're sorcerers. Soon after, he's enraged, and Saul is telling him, calm yourself down, my friend. Compose yourself. You state that we're bearers of sorceries? If love is comprised of such a talisman, then we hold it in our hearts, anxious to spread its benevolent influence to all. Soon after, Bar-Jesus the magician goes blind, and he says, I'm blind, I'm blind. And so, with the love of his heart, he goes and says, movingly, he goes and heals Bar-Jesus. He heals Bar-Jesus, and he's defeated and confused. Proconsul Sergius Paulus surrenders, says, friends, I believe in the divine truth. He is a man who is a patrician becoming Christian. And he says, I believe in it, and I truly wish to share in the awaited kingdom. I know you do not sell your spiritual gifts, which we cannot do, by the way, because it's not ours. Mediumship is not ours. Can you tell me your plans So they sit together and they talk about what they're going to do next. Sergius Paulus wants to join the efforts and help out. Okay? Later, there is a beautiful conversation between Bar Jesus, who comes and see our friend Saul and asks, "Can you give me your talisman?" He's a magician. He's thinking that it's an external thing. And you know, in the answer of Saul, we learn one of the last lessons of today before we end up this chapter. We cannot wrap up today without this beautiful teaching for us. He comes to Saul, Bar Jesus, the magician who went blind and got healed. He comes in private and asks Saul, "What is it?" He's gritting his eye because he wants to use it for his personal gain. Like many mediums who come to us, and I've had many experiences of non-spiritist mediums who come to us and ask like, "Can I use it?" And they even come trying to say that they want to use it to help others, but they need it for professional gain. And Saul of Tarsus gives us the recipe. He says the talisman is faith in God combined with selflessness. He says that the healing comes from God, believing in God and being a selfless instrument. Perfect combination. Faith in God, selfless instrument. Faith in God, selfless instrument. Faith in God, selfless instrument. Two elements we need to work upon. Do we truly believe in God? Do we truly have faith in God? Because there are levels of faith. We need to increase it. Are we being selfless? What can we do to become less selfless, more selfless, less selfish, more selfless, less selfish? First, think less of ourselves, of our needs, and more the needs of others. That's the first work. Every day, exercise. Can I find out more the needs of others and focus less on my needs? That's an exercise to be selfless. You wake up and think, there are many people who are in need of something. Let me discover their needs. It's an exercise for selflessness. Let's go after the needs of others, help them out. This way we're gonna find more levels, greater levels of selflessness. It's not that complicated. It's just one question every day. How can I find the needs of others today? Where are they? If you Facebook, quickly we're gonna find it. If you open your emails, you're quickly gonna find it. If you walk in the streets, you're gonna find it. If you talk to people in your life, you're easily gonna find it. If we listen to them, listen. What do they need? $10. $10 can be a saving grace for those who don't have it. Oh, they need a meal because they're sick and they cannot fix themselves a meal? Wonderful. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to make arrangements so the group can help this person out. Oh, a family member's feeling lonely. I'm going to give them a call and say, I'm thinking of them. Oh, I'm going to surprise them with flowers. I'm going to surprise them with, a gift, a pen, something simple, but telling them that we're there for them, that we're thinking of them, that we're here. And every day exercising a little bit, thinking more of the needs of others and less of our own. Jesus is going to take care of the rest. This chapter wraps up as they continue their first journey. They end their beautiful journey, my friend. And what a beautiful long chapter, long, 64 pages. But it ends with a call for us for the next one. You know what it is? I'm going to tell you right now. It's page 445. They end this journey when they are talking about the need of rest. The need of rest. Yeah, we're almost wrapping up for the day, but with a beautiful realization. Beautiful, friends. Thank you for the love. We feel it. It feels good to exchange this love vibrations. After all, we're flames of God, right? Thank you, Marco. So, they're traveling, they're tired. There was stoning along the way. And Barnabas says, but wouldn't it be better for us to rest for a few days? Paul smiled. Are you tired? Forget about it. Paul smiled and replied cheerfully, this is Jesus' work, not ours. If we care too much for ourselves in the matter of suffering, we will not fulfill our obligations. And if we halt our progress on account of the difficult patches, we'll be left with the stumbling blocks and not with Christ. Friends, if life is calling us challenges, roadblocks, stumbling blocks, tiredness, breathe in and out. You know, we have these beautiful virtual passes at KardecRadio.com. Go there. I do it every day. When I'm super tired, I stop, play it. It's right there, KardecRadio.com, virtual passes. Click on it. Portuguese, Spanish, and English. You pick a choice. And we have women voice, and we have it also in a man's voice. You can have your own choice. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Shh, recalibrate. And as Saul said to Barnabas, we shall press on. Wouldn't you agree, Barnabas? People of that region need the gospel. If we are so fulfilled because the news of the Christ, why deny it to those who need the baptism of the truth and new faith? So friends, as we wrap up the chapter today, truly moved about this journey with Paul, who actually became Saul became Paul. He was changed after the healing of Sergius Paulus. He wants to confirm he's a new man. Just one letter of change, but completely renewed inside of him. He became the humble servant of Jesus, and he's telling us, don't worry too much about your needs. If you have the light of Christ, keep working. Press on. Let us press on and share the good news everywhere we are, not only with words, but mostly with the love in our hearts. A big hug of gratitude to everyone for this work we're doing together with you and the loving messengers of Jesus. Thank you very much, and hopefully until tomorrow, another day with Paul and Stephen.